I'm going to look at that. It's a very interesting situation that took place in Georgia. And we heard about it yesterday. At the same time, ICE was doing right because they were here illegally.
Get ready to hear from Asian community as they respond to the ICE raids at Hyundai plant in Georgia. Check it out.
Since union workers reported unsafe conditions and that we're newly in labor and we're being paid less. Other bullshit. Her name's Tony Braun. And this is her TikTok profile. Go tell her a visit and give her a piece of your mind. Better yet, just report the count for harassment and hate speech. And you should already know by now that many of those workers were here on work visas and had permissions to be there because they're here to set up and start up the factory, meaning training workers, set up equipment, installing things right, and making sure the factory's up to their standards. I mean, this goes on everywhere. I had friends in the restaurant industry. They had to go to other countries to teach their workers how to cook their type of food for their damn franchise. But no, apparently that's illegal in America because they're not white. But even then, this racist Republican, well, all Republicans are racist, made up some union members were not there, blah, 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 and other bullshit that just should get her account deleted for false information. But that's not going to happen because TikTok supports racism. Always has. In related news, some of our top engineers, one that was at Boeing, Zhao Ming, is leaving for China. Lu Weiwei, a former NASA scientist, is also leaving for China because she was born and raised in China. So this is the point of video. As long as the Republicans are in power and the orange shirt is in power, there is always going to be massive racism towards Asians. And even if it's a leftist like Bernie Sanders, he's still fucking racist to Asians. So I'm going to say this. America needs to fail because it won't learn its lessons for being racist. So yes, if you're from Asia, do not come from America. America actually hates Asians.
ICE detained over 500 people in Georgia, but not just any people, Asian Americans. This is the time for you guys to stand the fuck up. And I'm Filipino, so I'm gonna speak to the Filipinos. Get the fuck up. You think being a Trump supporter makes you cool? You get your little validation from your little white friends? I don't give a fuck what you say. I really don't. Get the fuck up. You wonder why your kids don't talk to you. Oh, you're so stupid. You're so stupid. Shut the fuck up. I don't give a fuck.
Here's how Korea is reacting to the ICE raids at the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia.
We need construction to cease immediately.
And this raid is the largest single-site operation that DHS has conducted in history. Of the over 450 people arrested right now, around 300 of them are Korean nationals. And this has come as quite a shock to South Korea right now because Koreans are usually not the target of ICE raids. A Korean newspaper even had this cartoon right here where they are depicting Trump as a sort of a bully. It starts off by saying that the U.S. was begging Korea for more investments. And now they're arresting hundreds of South Koreans on a business trip. Literally just last month, South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung met with President Trump and they reaffirmed their alliance as well as business relationships. The U.S. has been pressuring South Korea to invest billions of dollars into the American industry, and they were ramping up this pressure in the past few months. Korea recently agreed to a $350 billion investment into the American economy. And part of that investment was this Hyundai LG factory that was set to open next year. This facility was going to be Georgia's biggest industrial investment in the state's history, and it was supposed to help boost the state's economy. Officials are saying that a lot of these employees were actually South Korean nationals there on a temporary visa for a business trip who have been sent to help finish building electric car battery factories. First of all, South Korea's foreign ministry came out immediately to say that they are expressing concern and regret over Washington's decision to do this, and that this will send a chilling effect to the U.S. in terms of business. I mean, President Trump has vowed to arrest the worst of the worst criminals with ICE raids. So I think Korea is shocked that this happened at one of their biggest factories in the U.S. I mean, the U.S. is coming out and saying that they did this raid because they think the employees are there illegally or have overstayed their visas. And investigations are still currently ongoing. Now, LG is ordering all of its employees that are on business trips in the U.S. to immediately return to Korea. And they're going to reconsider sending anyone else on business trips to the U.S. right now.
He is going to piss every single world leader off, and he is going to isolate the U.S. from the rest of the world even further. this Hyundai plant raid in Georgia is going to spark chaos here in the U.S. They detained nearly 500 workers, and around 300 of them are South Korean nationals, not criminals. A lot of them are here on training visas legally for Hyundai's multi-billion-dollar investment in Georgia. This is the biggest foreign investment project in Georgia's history, and the U.S. government just brought it to a halt. There are a few reasons why this is dangerous. First, diplomatic fallout. South Korea isn't just some random country. They're one of America's allies. They're pissed. They've already sent diplomats to help their people. So messing with this relationship could screw trade, military cooperation, and future deals. Second, the money, the investment. Hyundai and LG is dropping billions into the U.S. EV production. If they start thinking their workers aren't safe here, do you think they're going to continue to invest? Nope. They'll take their project elsewhere. Communities in Georgia is going to lose out big time. And third, trust in the system. Some people are here legally. If having the right visas doesn't protect you from being dragged off in a raid, what does it say to America's credibility? Who's going to want to come here for work or business? Just remember, this is Trump's America. These raids aren't about criminals. They're about rounding up anyone who isn't white. And if they can sweep up people who are here legally, what's going to stop them from sweeping up anyone they want? Just ask yourself, is this how you make America strong, or is this how you tear it apart from the inside?
Did you know you can pay $5 billion just to get humiliated? That's exactly what happened to the Hyundai and LG battery factory in Georgia. By the way, it's not Hyundai, it's Hyundai. Over 500 people were taken, and more than 300 people were Korean national. When the president of South Korea met Trump last month, I couldn't even finish the video.
저의 관여로 남북 관계가 잘 개선되기 쉽지 않은 상태인데 실제로 이 문제를 풀 수 있는 유일한 인물이 트럼프 대통령이십니다.
It was so cringe, the way he was kissing and the translator fighting for his life.
So resolving this issue through my engagement is not an easy thing. And the only person that can make progress on this issue is you, Mr. President.
Apparently, they discussed South Korea's future investment in the US, including energy, mineral, infrastructure. But just in 11 days, South Korea media is saying 뒤통수 맞았다, meaning they got stabbed in the back. US media claims that a lot of them overstayed their visa. But the investigation isn't over, so we'll find out more. Korean netizens are furious. Koreans are all about pride. Having our own people being mass detained, that's not gonna sit well with them for the next maybe 10 years. Some are saying, shut down the factory, pull out the investment, bring our people back home immediately. And others are saying they believe Korea is being disrespected because we're a smaller country. And some think US is pushing out Korean workers because they want to replace that with US workers, even though the innovation is from Korea. And surprisingly, a lot of them are saying that Trump is trying to punish Korea for attending this Chinese military parade, marking the 80th anniversary ending World War II. And apparently it was anti-US event. Anyway, this is far from over. It'll be interesting to see if this will change the relationship between South Korea and the US. We'll find out.
The Hyundai raid is not significant because it affected Asian people. The ICE agents were always going to affect the Asian community. The Hyundai raid is significant because those positions that they were after are skilled positions that illegal immigrants could not possibly attain. And we, as working class Americans, understand how extremely hard the job market is right now. There is so many requirements to get an entry-level job, multiple rounds of interview, and the rate of getting employed is significantly lower. And that is a reality that Americans, most of us, have to live in. But the politicians like to live in the fantasy world that anyone can get any type of job in America and it's super easy as long as you're privileged. Because they were only able to attain the things that they have through privilege. While we understand how hard it actually is to break through any industry right now. So it is so idiotic and illiterate and almost like fucking dumb to say that illegal immigrants could get any type of job because it shows that they have no idea what it actually is like to go through a W-2 process, going through a background check, the actual difficulties of being an average American with higher standards than politicians.
Construction site, okay? We're Homeland Security. We have a search warrant for the whole site.
Hundreds of South Korean nationals detained during a raid on a Georgia Hyundai plant.
You know, this really hurts my heart. I've worked with a South Korean company for more than a decade now, and I've seen it with my own eyes how carefully they follow employment law. They respect the rules. They respect the people. That's why watching what happened in Georgia is so devastating. Seeing families torn apart, workers treated like criminals, lives disrupted in an instant. It's not just about the laws on paper, it's about human dignity. If South Korean companies can uphold these standards abroad, why are we seeing violations here on American soil under American oversight? Where is the accountability? People are more than just paperwork, and when we forget that, we lose our humanity.
And it's Hyundai, not Hyundai. And what gets me the most is how she's comparing their work environment to modern day slavery. I don't think she understands South Korea is a developed country. To get in a top company like Hyundai and Samsung, you have to be highly educated. It's very competitive out there. These are corporate environments. It's just crazy to see people be so proud and open about viewing color in that way, and that these are the same people that are running for leadership. This is why it's important to be cultured and travel and talk to people that look different than you. Also why it irks me when people try and tell me that racism doesn't really exist. It's there, people just hide it.
White supremacy and European colonialism have left a powerful global imprint on how different racial and ethnic groups, including Asians, view black people, particularly descendants of American slavery, also known as freedmen. During the 15th to 20th centuries, European colonial powers imposed a racial hierarchy that placed whiteness at the top and blackness at the bottom. This racial caste system was reinforced through propaganda, religion, education, and violent coercion. In many colonized Asian countries, Western powers portrayed black people as savage, unintelligent, and inferior, often to justify slavery, colonization, and exploitation. These ideas were institutionalized in colonial schools, media, and churches. In China and Japan, Western racial theories influenced early 20th century views, encouraging the adoption of anti-black stereotypes even in places with limited direct contact with African or Black American people. These colonial narratives didn't die with decolonization. Instead, they were passed down through generations. Many Asian parents today, particularly those who emigrated to the West, have absorbed and pass on negative views of Black people to their children. In homes and communities, Black Americans are often described as lazy, violent, or criminal, not based on personal experience, but on long-standing stereotypes rooted in white supremacist ideology. This mindset is further reinforced by the model minority myth, particularly in the US, where Asians are often portrayed as law-abiding, hard-working, and economically successful. This myth is weaponized to contrast Asians with Black Americans, who have historically been denied generational wealth, fair employment, quality education, and justice under the law. It creates tension, as many Asians are told, explicitly or implicitly, that their success is proof that racism isn't real and that Black Americans must be to blame for their own struggles. In practice, this leads to racial distancing. Many Asian immigrants avoid solidarity with Black communities, fearing association will damage their social standing. Some even participate in anti-Blackness in their businesses, schools, and voting behavior, knowingly or unknowingly reinforcing systemic inequality. This has deeply hurt freedmen Black Americans, who not only have to fight against institutional white supremacy, but also against communities of color who have adopted white supremacist values to survive or succeed in America. This divide is no accident. It is a direct legacy of colonialism and white supremacy, which thrived by keeping oppressed peoples fragmented, mistrusting, and fighting among themselves. Tell me what you think about this topic. Hope you find the information in this video informative. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Thanks for watching.